If taking a chance is a crime, then I've got hell to pay. I've been walking the streets in my mind, trying to find a new day. Keep on searching until I will find, until I find a new way. I'm gonna say something, I hope you don't mind. It's time to rearrange. I walk round in circles, I'm going nowhere. It's time to make a change.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Charles Wallace. You may recognize today's guest from Karate Kid 3 and the Netflix hit series Cobra Kai. He is none other than karate's bad boy, Mike Barnes. He's also an extremely successful author. And let me tell you, his book, Way of the Cobra, is truly life-changing. So please, without further ado, let's jump into my interview with Sean Kanan. Sean, how's it going, man? Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, brother.
So, Sean, I mean, I think a lot of people know who you are. I mean, I know I'm a huge fan. I know who you are, but just for those who may not,
I'm the biggest star in my house. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, some days I'm the biggest star. Other days I feel
it's my
like
wife. It's not me. She's the biggest one.
Yeah, right. Depends on the day. If you could, little introduction of yourself for the folks that may not be familiar with you.
Sure. My name is Sean Kanan. I'm a Scorpio. I like long walks on the beach. I'm an actor. I've been doing it for, since I moved out to Los Angeles in 1987. I am a producer, a writer, a coach, a personal development coach, and a pug lover. How about that?
Did you say a pug lover?
Pug.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I used to love pubs. I quit drinking, but I used to love them.
Oh no, I said pug, the dog. P-U-G.
Oh, yeah. P-U-G.
Yeah, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I got two of them.
Get out. Do you have fawns or black?
They're fawn, Bane and Zeus.
Oh my! They're the best. They're the best.
They're going to be 10 years old next month.
I got a 10-year-old.
Man, that's so crazy, man. That's funny. So, well, yeah, I can't thank you enough for doing this, man. I'm looking forward to this. So, like I said, I'm a huge fan. I figured it'd probably be good to start here. So, if you like reflecting on your role, which is pretty iconic to me, is Mike Barnes in Karate Kid 3, and then the revival in Cobra Kai, how have these experiences influenced your personal and professional growth over the years?
I think it's the other way around. I think that my personal growth and quest to become a more self-aware human being has influenced my acting. As it's funny, I was teaching an acting seminar the other day, and I was telling my students that the very first reservoir that you have to check is from your own personal life. Before you manufacture something to play someone else, look and see if it's something that you've already experienced or exists within you. And I used the analogy of playing a father, and I played a father before I had a child, and I've played a father since having a child, and there's no comparison. There just simply isn't. You can learn everything about being a father. You can be a very good actor, but nothing compares to actually having that experience in your real life. And I've done a lot of work on myself. I've especially in the last 5 years. And I believe that it's had a profound shift in, who I am as an actor. So I think it's the other way around. And you talk about Mike Barnes and Cobra Kai as opposed to Mike Barnes and Karate Kid 3. It's 35 years down the road since I played this role. And like most people, I've changed, I've evolved, I've grown. My the multifaceted prism with which I view the world has changed. And I was fortunate that the character was able to change too. You know, he was a much more dimensional human being than Mike Barnes was, who was kind of this, you know, this unidimensional thug. And I think Mike Barnes in Cobra Kai, you know, we got to see a much wider range of emotions, and you know, it was really well received by the fans, which just made me so happy.
I just remember watching when I knew I kind of knew it was you coming, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, man. It was great. You know, good segue into this next question though, because you talk about the work you've done on yourself, and
Sure.
you know, I want to be totally transparent with the audience. When I reached out to you, obviously what I wanted to talk about a lot was acting, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, and then once you turned me on to your book and you being an author, I was this last week, it's been fantastic. I've had it, I've been listening to it. So what I wanted to ask you about is, in your book, Way of the Cobra, you offer a lot of insights and life lessons. Is there any particular lessons from the book that you find yourself revisiting in like challenging times?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me think. You know, I think the first thing is you need to understand that the word Cobra in Way of the Cobra is an acronym. It's formed from the words character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And living in abundance, living in gratitude is a huge, huge part of my life. Personal responsibility, which is one of the central messages of Way of the Cobra. You know, you know, if you're not happy with your life where it is, your life's your fault. You're not a victim. You know, it's not your father's fault who used to put you down in front of his friends. It's not your mommy's fault who didn't hug you enough. And it's not the world's fault for not seeing what a special, unique little snowflake you are. And by the way, everyone is unique. But, you know, you really, if you're going to make appreciable change in your life, taking personal responsibility is absolutely the first step. And then, of course, it's taking action. So I live my life to the best of my ability in accordance with what I wrote in the book. That and also the sequel, Welcome to the Kumite, which is the sequel to Way of the Cobra. You know, I couldn't put these books out and not live my life, not walk it like I talk it. I would feel like an enormous fraud.
Well, I just want to say here, and for everybody listening, I'm going to do my own book review on it, because Sean, I honestly, I wish that I would have maybe had this book 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When I started my own transformation.
Yeah.
And it was interesting as I listened to it, I was kind of like, man, like there was so much in it that is going to help me moving forward, but it helped me a lot to get where I am. So I'm excited for more people to read that and listen to it. So as an actor, not just Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, I mean, I know you've been in other things too, but you know, obviously your career has spanned decades, and a lot of success. But I was wondering, could you maybe share a moment of personal struggle that significantly impacted you during your career?
Yeah. I was fired from General Hospital, largely because I had a drinking problem. And that was years ago. And it took me a very, very long time to be able to deal with that. I think to date, it probably is one of the most defining struggles I've ever had in my life. And it's funny, isn't it, how you look back on the things that were the biggest obstacles in your life that seem insurmountable. And then when you're able to figure them out, how you look back on them and you're thankful for them. You know, it's like most challenges, most struggles in life, the solution's simple, but it's rarely easy. And I had to figure it out on my time, in my way. And now that I have, I feel like these clouds have parted, and it's kind of full speed ahead.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that. I think we're trying, with my podcast, with the network I belong to, NGBM, we're really trying to impact men primarily in their 40s,
Yeah.
50s, and 60s. And I think a lot of it has to do with mental health and with issues that a lot of men deal with. And I think some of the things you've already said about having to own it, right? And to be willing to just speak it and talk about it and not suffer in silence. So I really, really appreciate that. So I asked you about the struggles, how about some of the victories in your personal life that have really, you look back on?
One victory was a little known film that I wrote called Chasing Holden. It was about a kid who runs away from boarding school to find J.D. Salinger, of course, who wrote Catcher in the Rye. And I had worked for a very long time to get that produced. I was the executive producer, and Lionsgate distributed it. And that was a real win for me. Winning the Emmy for Best Limited Drama for Studio City, which is a show that I created, and I executive produced it with my wife and our other partner, Timothy Woodward Jr. Getting anything made in Hollywood is really difficult. And then when you get something made and some people like it, that's icing on the cake. And when you get something made and some people like it, and then you get recognition from your peers, I mean, it's just an incredible feeling. It's such a blessing. And, that project had been my baby for years and years. And it wasn't until the right nexus of events happened and the right people joined the project that we were able to get it made. And the fact that I am able to do it with my wife is, makes it that much sweeter. And that was definitely a big win. Getting my books published, and I've been blessed.
Yeah, man, and I'm so appreciative that someone like yourself is willing to bless others with your time and your generosity with your time. I think that is a big deal.
I just think that being of service and paying it forward, and trying to help other people where you can. If we all just did that a little bit more, I think the world would be such a better place. Just show a little more kindness, a little more empathy and compassion.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree with you more. What I really like, though, I like the willingness, you want to help, right? But I also, and Sean, what I really think I got the most from the book, and I want to ask you about this, you don't sugarcoat it.
No.
And and listen, I'll be totally honest with you. That's what I respond to, right? I need somebody like you to be in my face, and I don't want you to sugarcoat it, right? I want to know if I'm screwing up, I'm screwing up, right? And did you intentionally try to come across that way in the book?
I mean, the voice in the book is how I talk. I mean, that's how it is. I think that it's important to be direct. I think a lot of books about personal development get really wrapped up in rah, just do it, you can do it. And I mean, there's a place for that, but if that's all there is, it's hard for people to relate to it. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, try your hardest, give 100%. Sure, we all know that. But what happens when you feel like you've had your ass completely kicked and you're not happy with where you are in life? And, maybe you're at a place where you just got divorced or lost your job or whatever. How do you rebuild it? And those are the people that I'm really trying to reach to, because, people look at other people's success like an iceberg. You probably have heard this before. They see the piece of ice sticking out that's shiny and that's successful. and they don't see the iceberg that goes down 5 times as deep with the self-sacrifice and the self-discipline and the quote-unquote failure and everything. And I've had all of that. I mean, I wrote this book because I've made every mistake in it a dozen times. You know, I'm a guy that's had to learn things the hard way by banging my head into a wall. And I finally figured some stuff out. And, you know, yeah, it's in my voice. And yes, there are a lot of original thoughts and concepts in the book, but there's also a lot of stuff that in one form or another you've heard before. And sometimes it's the messenger, not the message, that is able to ultimately break through. You know, it's like when you're 15 years old and it doesn't matter what your dad's telling you. You know, it doesn't matter how good the advice is. You just can't hear it because you're in that sort of, you know, rebelling against your father, trying to assert your own dominance thing. And then I come along and it's the same message with a different presentation, and it becomes an epiphany for you.
Yeah, I think obviously for me, listening to a lot of self-help books, reading a lot of self-help books, what was the difference with yours for me was not just the voice, the simplicity.
Yeah.
You took a direct, a simplicity to a lot of concepts and really came directly right at us. And, you know, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but in a way, to me, it was like, as I listened, I was like hearing your karate shit, right?
Yeah.
And in a good way, though, right? And I'm like, and then some of the concepts, though, you just put forth were really, really, really good. So I'm looking forward to people getting out of that.
Yeah, I think you'll really like the sequel too. It picks up right where Way of the Cobra left off. There's some fantastic strategies, and in Welcome to the Kumite, I really break it down about where I was in my life and why writing these books saved my life. And you know, if I'm going to elevate myself to the position of being a teacher, a sensei, I realized very quickly, and you know, that I can't talk down to my audience as if I'm the expert and I'm teaching them. It's like we're in this together. You know, I even say that my readers are every bit my teacher as I am to them, and that we're in this together. And you know, look, I'm just another guy trying to figure out the same as everybody else. I just took the time to put pen to paper, so to speak, and I'm just really. It's an amazing feeling when somebody like you or somebody from another country says, "Wow, that really resonated with me." And you know, it's like you feel like you're, you know, there's a sense of relevance, which I guess is selfish, but there's also a sense that, you know, if I do nothing else today, if I know that maybe something I did helped someone else make their life just a little better, then I can feel good about myself, and it fires me up to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, your book fires me up, man, and I think it probably will fire a lot of people up. So you mentioned this a little bit. You talked about the evolution of the character Mike Barnes between Karate Kid 3 and Cobra Kai. How had the perspective of your own life? Did you have input into potentially that evolution of Mike Barnes? Was that anything to do with you, or was it more to do with the show?
Well, you know, when I talked to John Hurwitz and to Josh Held prior to going down to Atlanta, and I just said, you know, guys, if there are two things that I would love to see happen, I want to see that there's an evolution in the character. That's the first thing. And the second is I'd love to, you know, infuse some funny into it, because I think so much of Cobra Kai is a funny show. And, you know, I do stand up, and I just, you know, I wanted to make sure that I was able to bring some of that part of my skill set and personality to the character. And I think it worked out really well. You know, unfortunately, as a young actor on Karate Kid 3, you know, I didn't know how to ask for things, and it was a big studio movie. And, you know, now I'm more equipped to articulate suggestions, and you know, it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think it was, I mean, it was, I can't, obviously, I love the show. I can't wait for the next season, whatnot. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Um, so that's, I did want to ask you this. So growing up, I was, definitely into martial arts. I did Kempo. I did some jujitsu.
Uh,
So I know you were in, part of you getting the role had to do with your experience in martial arts. Are you still, do you still actively practice?
yes, I do. Yep. Yep. I'm training tomorrow. I've been training lately about twice a week privately.
Mm.
Yeah, I love martial arts. I mean, it's something that hopefully will be a part of me for the rest of my life. Um, I've started Taekwondo, which is something I've never done before, and then my home dojo is the Genbukai Dojo of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Genbukai is it's a Japanese hard style of karate. The head teacher of my school was Sensei Fumio Demura, who we just recently lost. But Sensei Demura was actually Pat Morita's stunt double.
Mm.
So that was an interesting, I don't want to say coincidence, but uh, it definitely helped me get the role because he vouched for me early on, and he carried a lot of weight with the stunt team and with Pat Johnson, and so yeah, I always joke I can get my ass kicked in 5 different styles. I've studied a lot of different things, and I'm just hopefully going to be a lifelong student, and I hope this journey continues on as long as I can physically do it.
So I've always been curious when I watch the Karate Kid movies, even Cobra Kai, and maybe it's not true, and I don't mean this wrong or to insult anybody, but I always feel like I see a difference in the skill level of the karate.
Mm.
How difficult, because I think you did a really good job. Like when I watch Mike Barnes, I see Mike Barnes as, to me, I see Mike Barnes as somebody that can kick ass, right? I really believe that. How difficult is it sometimes to navigate that, maybe the skill level potential difference and things like that? Because I think you do a good job of it.
So everyone on the film had a different level of martial arts skill. Um, Mike Barnes was a 10th degree black belt, a national champion, definitely a better martial artist than Sean Kanan. So I showed the stunt team and the stunt choreographer what I could do, and there were things I couldn't do. And I think they played into my strengths and avoided my weaknesses. And I did the absolute best that I could. Um, um, but yeah, it definitely, my training in martial arts was integral to my getting the role. I don't know how they could have found someone who had zero martial arts background and in a month made them look like they were a black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if they were an extraordinary athlete and just a prodigy of martial arts. But I mean, I know how hard I worked to get to that level. Um, um, what I'm thankful for is 35 years later, going down to Atlanta and reprising the role. I'm, thank God, still physically in a position where I can do what needs to be done within the parameters of my personal ability.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I was a little surprised when I found out how old you are. I think you look younger than you are, man. And yeah, I really do. I was like,
Yeah,
damn, I couldn't believe you were almost
yeah.
50, right?
It's good,
Like,
good. Almost 50. I'm 57.
are you 57?
Yeah, it's good lighting and a lot of Botox though. That's
Man, now you just made me feel bad.
uh
I thought you
I
had,
always joke that I treated my body like a brothel for the first 50 years. So I'm going to treat it hopefully like a temple for the next 50.
dude, holy shit, I got work to do, man. I'm only going to be 52 and I look like
Yeah.
I'm way older than you, man. Holy
Well,
good stuff, man.
thank you,
Good,
brother.
good stuff. Um, so looking forward a little bit with the whole Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, the way the Cobra, the new book coming out. Sean, how's all this influence? Like, how's it influence like your future projects and even like personal ambition moving forward?
I think a lot of it has to do with marshaling my time and energy. When you're 25, you've got boundless energy.
Hmm.
I star on Bold and the Beautiful. That's a huge and wonderful time commitment. I've got other projects coming up. My writing, my coaching. I probably coach for 10 or 12 hours a day. So I've had to get better at saying no to things.
Hmm.
And I think as an actor, you have to. Actors don't like to say no because we're always afraid it's going to be the last offer we ever get.
Hmm.
And you have to recognize that we live in a world of abundance, not live in scarcity. And being more selective doesn't mean that you're going to have less opportunities. It's probably going to mean that you're going to have more. And now I really only do things that I want to do, that I know that I can, do my absolute best. And I don't take on so much that I wind up doing a lot of things kind of half-ass because, I'm very serious. I'm not a serious guy, but I'm very serious about this part of my career because I realize how important it is to get this message out to other people, that it really can be transformative. And so I feel a sense of responsibility.
Man, yeah, that's pretty poignant, man. And I think you mentioned it earlier, man, but I think what you're doing is really helping to, we all want to try to leave the world a little bit better than we found it.
Right.
I think you're
Yeah.
really, really doing that.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, I really do mean it, man. And like I said, I think just listening to you in the book and talking to you a little bit here, like you're really authentic, man. And I think that's what I'm always looking to gravitate towards and speak to people like that. So
I think that authenticity is one of the most powerful qualities somebody can have, because it's absolutely and thoroughly unique to who each one of us is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't mimic someone else's authenticity. Most human beings have a pretty good bullshit detector, and if you're trying to fool them, it may take them a while to figure it out, but they can figure it out, and when they do, they completely shut down. And I think that authenticity can make up for shortcomings in other areas of your life. So that's kind of what I've concentrated on. I've said, you know what, I'm gonna be the best version of me that I can be. I'm gonna be as honest as I can be and as vulnerable as I can be, while still maintaining, who I am as a man, and use that to share with other people. And since making that decision, my life's really changed. Boy, I'll tell you, for so long, I cared a lot about what other people thought, and I was very concerned with things. And as I've become less concerned with things, I've gotten more of them. I just don't care about them in the same way. Doesn't mean I don't like nice things. Doesn't mean I don't like toys and, traveling and all that sort of stuff, but I see it for what it is, rather than something I need to somehow make me more whole, especially in the eyes of other people.
And you great segue. I did want to ask you this. I was thinking about, for you, right? You're kind of a unique individual to me, as far as you have these contrasting worlds of the martial arts, movies, and now the personal development and the writing a book, right? It almost feels like there's a little bit of this profound shift in your understanding almost of what it means to be a warrior. I mean, how would you kind of explain that for your personal life and your career?
I think it was Sun Tzu, I believe, who said that, that to conquer yourself is the greatest form of power there is. You know, you have to be able to manage your own emotions, to know who you are before knowing an enemy. Now, I mean, that's metaphoric, obviously, but once you figure out who you are, and once you achieve a certain understanding about yourself, the world, and human nature, you can get dropped into any situation and you'll thrive.
Mm.
If you have certain talents and abilities, you can get dropped into certain situations and thrive for a while. But ultimately, it all comes back down to knowing who you are. And I sort of figured that out for myself. It's real hard. And I'll be really honest. I have absolutely had moments in my life, even after I had significant success, where I've said to myself, this is the first time where I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm not talking about, my life ending, but just, I don't know if I'm going to wind up being a successful guy. And the reason was, it's kind of like the Peter principle. Have you ever heard the Peter principle, that we all rise to the level of our own incompetence? I kind of hit the ceiling of my own incompetence, and it became abundantly evident to me that if I didn't go back to the beat lab and do some work, that was it. And not only was that it, that ceiling was rapidly going to lose its relevance, and it was going to become a descent into mediocrity. And that's a lot of what Welcome to the Kumite is about. The Kumite refers to an epic battle, and it's to defeat your greatest opponent. Well, of course, your greatest opponent is you. And how do you do that? Well, you do it by metaphorically extinguishing the person you were yesterday and being reborn every day as a wiser, kinder, smarter, stronger, more self-aware version of yourself. And it's a never-ending loop. You're always competing against yourself to be better than you were. It's kind of like, when you ascend a metaphoric mountain, you achieve a goal, it's great for about a minute to look around, smell the air, look at the view, and then your neck needs to crank backwards and upward, and you better be looking for that next taller mountain. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time before you start stagnating and slipping down the mountain.
Man, that was well said, man. That was really well said. And now you got me excited to I'll probably go tonight and order the other book.
Oh, cool, man.
Actually,
I got everything. And I'll do you one better. So we're writing the third installment of Way of the Cobra. And this one I'm writing with my wife. And it's called Cobra Couples. And it's about how to succeed in your relationship.
Nice.
Yeah.
That
it's gonna be great.
You know what? I'm looking forward to that, because so when I kind of hit my wall at 47, I've lost like 100 pounds, right?
Wow.
And my wife's lost about 110.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious to read that book, because what I'll tell you probably is that we probably would have benefited from it a little while back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'll share something with you. I do a lot of weight loss seminars because I lost 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And I talk about, there's a holistic quality to what I teach. In other words, in my weight loss seminars, there are things that I will teach you that also apply to your greater life. Okay. And one of the things that I learned, which has helped me, is the concept that if you want to achieve results, ignore them. What you need to concentrate on is building a bulletproof process for anything, for losing weight, for how you what you do at your job, how you deal with your relationships. And it's kind of like this. We don't know each other very well, but I'm going to guess we drive a car 99.5% the same way. You unlock the car, you sit down, put the safety belt on, you put something in the nav if you need it, you check the rearview mirror, side mirrors, throw it in reverse, back up, check the mirrors, put it in drive, obey the street signs and the traffic lights, and you expect to get to your destination, right? You don't drive like, oh my God, am I going to make it? Because you've built a bulletproof process for driving.
Mm-hmm.
You know it like the back of your hand, right?
Yeah.
If you build a bulletproof process for anything that you're pursuing, and you apply it consistently and effectively while constantly doing diagnostics to see what's working, what's not, to refine the process, you don't have to worry about the results. They'll come. They may not come exactly when you want them. They may not look exactly like you imagine them, but you've got a real good chance of achieving the results. Stay out of them. Don't get attached to the outcome.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. That's great advice. And again, now you got me looking forward to that one also. I have one last question I want to ask you. And so kind of obviously Mike Barnes, iconic character, but what I wanted to ask you was in Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, super iconic. Has there been a Mr. Miyagi figure in your life?
Well, I've definitely had positive influences and mentors. That's for sure. My father's been one. My first martial arts teacher has been a big one for me. My wife has been a big one for me. So yeah, undoubtedly, the ability to find a mentor or Mr. Miyagi, that's a critical relationship, especially for men. Most successful individuals have had some form of a mentor. Alexander the Great had Aristotle. The list. The list is it goes on and on, and that's also something that it's kind of funny. I used to always say when I was younger and when I was engaged in a lot of my stupid behavior, well, look, I'm nobody's role model. And I think I did that as a cop out and as a way of, I don't know, not having to be the best guy that I could be. And now I really take a lot of honor and privilege in the responsibility of mentoring people. And because I think it's important. I think as a society, that's something that we need to do. It can't just be about how much money can I make and how many toys can I acquire. We have to be here for something deeper than that. And I believe that helping other people achieve their dreams is the quickest way to make your dreams come true.
Man, well, I think the platform you have with obviously Cobra Kai, but when you combine that with what you're doing with your social media, with your books, Sean, I think you are doing so much to really help influence others in a positive way. And I wanted to I was excited to get you on because I'm a huge fan, and it's already turned into so much more for me, honestly. Like I've read a lot of self-help books, and I cannot say enough good things about what you're doing. And
Charles, I really appreciate that. And now that we've met and know each other, now it's a friend, not a fan. Okay. So you know how to get a hold of me, and I hope that you'll stay in touch with me. And I just want to wish you an amazing 2024, your audience. And if you'd like to get my books, you can get Way of the Cobra and Welcome to the Kumite on Amazon, or Way of the Cobra on Audible. And please go to my website, wayofthecobra.com. There's all sorts of great, interesting stuff there. And I look forward to us hopefully meeting in person at some point, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Listen, all the best. Take care of yourself.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.